Hello, good morning. This is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com. Today is Friday, March 17th, and as always, we're going to take a look at last week's eBay auction, see how things did on there. Yesterday, if you didn't see it yet, we did a video on the Fujita sale, the results of the sale. They were phenomenal, to put it mildly. The auction grossed $300 million. It was just an amazing sale, and yesterday they had the Verada sale of mostly Chinese furniture did extremely well. And we're going to take a look today at the end of this video at the Ming sale that was held at Sotheby's. Also did very well. But let's get started on last week's sales, okay? And we're going to start right here. This was a rather nice Straits bowl that was put up by a Bryn 10. Nice little bowl. These Niora Straits bowls are very popular these days. This one went for $541. They're notable for their brilliant colors. It's a very special genre that's come into play and a lot of interest among collectors. There have been some good books written on it. And this one did pretty well. There's a Teapot coming up that's ending Sunday this week that we have in the newsletter. It's also from here. We'll see how that does. And hold on, we're going to flip over to here. This silk. This was a wonderful silk that we came across and put in the letter. It's probably a chair cover. Beautifully done with the elephant. Nice color, beautiful apricot ground, splendid color. It's a 19th century example. Nice gilt thread on the elephant and on the foo line here at the bottom. And it did well. I thought it might do a little better. It brought $890. This seems to be a very fair, very reasonable price for this. I think somebody got a great buy. I can tell you we had one very similar to this a few years ago, and I think we got around $2,500 for it. Somebody got a nice buy on that silk. And next was this piece of silver. This by Luen Wu. It was sold by a friend of mine, actually. He's a dealer out in Concord, Massachusetts. And Bo got this. It did really well. It brought $3,800. There's the mark. Well-known Shanghai silversmith at the turn of the century and in the 1920s. Beautiful quality. They call it, this is probably a spittoon or a judao. It brought $3,800. So Chinese silver seems to be getting some real traction from what I'm seeing. And this was just one of them. He also had a rank badge that did pretty well. And this may have been one of the little bargains of the week. I don't know if anybody was, I think everybody went to sleep on this. This was a pretty good late 19th century statue of a Liu Han. Here's the bottom of it. That's a very straight up late 19th century foot. It's not I don't think it doesn't look like a Republican period one to me. Had beautiful decoration down the back, a yellow ground roll with the Shao character in the middle. Nicely done apron on the robe. Very good quality all the way around. And somebody got a heck of a buy on this. It only had minor losses on the fingertips. It went for $91. This thing was a foot tall. Maybe it looked small to people in the pictures. I don't know. But that was a fabulous buy. That should have probably brought $1,200 to $1,500, I would guess. I think it went way under the money. So whoever got it, bravo. I'm sorry for Crazy Collector, the seller. He sort of took a hit on that one. And then there was this nice Yixing teapot with overglazed, over enameled in shades of blue. Beautiful quality with this chrysanthemum on it. Nice pot. Marked on the base, went for $1,109, which was a good price for that. But it's a desirable form and a rather attractive pot for the Yixing collector. And then we had this. This was kind of a surprise. This was a Kangxi plate. It's not enormous lotus pattern. It's a very desirable pattern with a little dressing on the rim there. It had two cracks in it though, and I thought it was a very nice plate, but I was surprised at the price. I thought it would bring $200 or $300. And it brought a somewhat surprising $1,100, and has two hairlines in it. Usually hairlines in these plates is the kiss of death. I don't know what that was about, but somebody sold it for a good price. And there was this very nice in-row, a Japanese lacquered in-row with a silver toggle of a dragon, beautifully done dragon. And this was a nice box. beautiful quality, excellent quality. And it did well. Inrows, even despite the slide in Japanese values, inrows and crafts like these still do well. It's a Meiji period thing. And it brought $1,100. So that was a good price for that. But it was a good quality item, too. And then there was this Tibetan bronze, nice example. Some of the stones were missing. A couple of the stones, they probably had a few more turquoise stones here and here. But they fall out after a while. They're not. People think they're always stolen. Nobody's stealing those little tiny turquoise things. They kind of fall out due to heat and changes in the weather and the glue they put them in with. They fall out of these. But this was a nice gilded example. Not terribly big. The seller had a number of them, and this one did quite well. It brought $4,491. We've seen this week in New York that the bronzes are all doing pretty well. There's some softness in there. There was some softness in a couple of sales on the more run-of-the-mill examples, but these seeded Tibetan figures always have a following, always do well. And there was this. This was sold by Josh Chamberlain, Juice, up in New Hampshire. Had a large sale that ended Monday. This was a very nice. He got a collection of some very good cloisonné pieces, and this was just one of them. Nice example. It's missing the ring. There would have been a little ring here on the side of the mask, but it was a good piece. Nice 19th century example, and it was in good condition all the way around. Didn't have any problems, and it was a good size. And it brought $5,400. How big was this? This thing was good size, though. It was 14 inches. Nice big one. And very good. His sale overall did quite well. And then there was this Buddha. I call these brick Buddhas because they have this sort of brick pattern on their robes. A couple of years ago, we had a lot of them. It came out of one collection. The guy had I think we had 30 of them. And here's another one, 26 centimeters, so it's a little under a foot tall. Nice example, good skin color here. The Famille Rose enamels are done here. These are very popular with Chinese collectors. Here's a picture of the base, this impressed seal mark. The hole in the bottom, which is very typical of these, the way they're made. Nice piece. And it did pretty well. The prices on these also seem to be maybe softening a little bit. This was only $2,000. We've had some similar to this, maybe a little bigger, that brought quite a bit more. So you want to keep an eye on that space to see how these do in the future. But it was a nice example, and was sold by a dealer over in Germany that we follow. And there was this. This was from the seller Kangxi, 0219. A very unusual sectional lotus form bowl. It had feet on it. It was a footed bowl. Here's a picture of the bottom. Looked like parts of the feet here and here stuck a little bit to the kiln when it was taken out. It had a hairline in it. All right, it wasn't perfect, but it was a nice example and a rather unusual one. It's 18th century. He thought it might have been Kangxi. Could have been. And it did fine. It did pretty well. It brought $520 with a crack. So maybe there's some tolerance coming along for cracks these days. And then there was this. This was something I was very interested in. I commented on it last week because I like big Wan Li pieces. They're very dramatic. And this was a great one. And I had said it might bring, I think I said 7,000 to 10,000. It may bring more. And it did bring more. It brought over $11,000. Well deserved. This is a very good bowl. Beautiful color, nice deep color, and big. This is a big bowl. And these big examples are very hard to find. And brought $11,211, which is a nice price for that. Good piece. And these are coming up. These are on right now. These look like your regular sort of run-of-the-mill Chinese export table vases. The problem is that they're not. They're actually wall pockets, which makes them rather unusual. You don't see these in wall pocket form very often. So if you're a Chinese export collector, there's the bottom of it. This is something you might want to keep an eye on. These were probably made about 1780 or so. Their famous pattern is this, what they call chicken skin in turquoise here. But as wall pockets, they're quite unusual. And they're going to be on the newsletter this coming week. If you want to track them, put a bid on them. They're up to $210. They've only been up for about 12 hours. So they're nice, though. Very rare. And this is something we came up with. We were handling part of a collection here on the North Shore of Boston. This was one of the items we got. I've never seen this form before. We put it up as Yongchen. It might be Kangxi. They're kind of hard to tell. It's a barrel form or drum form teapot with twist handles, and I couldn't find any similar to this. I hope maybe out there somebody else can, but we couldn't find it similar to it. And he had a number of good pieces. He had this in this family. It was a collection that was formed in Switzerland. And there are 4 pairs of these. It was a collection of 8 Kangxi Wucai plates. They're all in very good condition. One of them, I think, has maybe a brief firing line in the center, but that's it. And those are up right now. All right. That's it for eBay. We'll put some things up over the weekend that we've got a list started. And I want to take a quick look at the Sotheby's sale. You remember this? This was the Ming sale, the intervention of imperial taste. And I liked some of the pieces in the sale very, very much. And we're going to take a look at how they did. The first one up, of course, is the Onhua decorated Qianbai Mei Ping vase in Yongle period. Very unusual. They call these sweet white vases. It's a Mei Ping. It did very well. It brought $3.1 million. It was around 12 inches tall. Christie's had one. I think it was Christie's had one in 2013 that did around the same price. These vases are very, very rare, and obviously command a big price. And next up was the blue dish, Zhongdi period. Beautiful dish, wonderful quality, good size. Was big. I think it was 13 or 14 inches. And it brought $2.1 million at Sotheby's this week. All right, and then we're going to move over here. This was the brush washer. This was one of my favorite things. Was this Zhundi dragon brush washer marking period? Beautiful example. There's the mark on the base. They're showing better and better pictures of the bottoms of these days. You can even see the bubbles on the glaze. They're getting really good at it. I'm glad about that. Here's a side shot of the bowl. And it did very well. The brush washer brought $1.6 million. I thought it would go over its estimate because these are very rare, and it didn't. But still a wonderful example. And then last was for the late Ming collector was this very, very big Wan Li deer jar. These are pretty rare. There was one that came out of a British collection a few years ago, and it did well. And this one did well. This one brought just a little under $1 million. It brought $948,000. But it was in really fine condition, and the Sotheby's must be very happy about that. That was a nice piece, and it brought sort of in the low middle of the estimate. It was aggressively estimated, I thought, a little bit, but still a wonderful example, really good example. And as an aside, the moon flask they had in this sale, that they failed to mention the piece had been extensively restored. This was something that came up in New York. People that asked for condition reports knew it, but the catalog made no mention of it. And apparently, to one person I know who was there said it was not only restored, but the moon flask was badly restored, and it failed to sell. But in any event, that was it for Sotheby's, and we'll be taking a look next week, as I said, at the Verada sale, and we're going to do a review back on the sale that's happening today, the Chinese Works of Art sale at Christie's. All right. But so far, if you're keeping score, Christie's has pretty much blown Sotheby's out of the water this week with their Verada sale and the Fujita sale. The Fujita sale was just a blockbuster. And take a minute to look at the video we did on it from yesterday. We looked at some of the pieces and talked about the prices. And that's it. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.